and welcome back to the Faith and Culture Show. I'm Catherine Camp, your hostess for the show. And this is where we educate ourselves in order to engage our culture with conversations that count, conversations with an eternal perspective. As most of you know, I am trained as a Christian apologist. So when we're talking about great philosophers of the past, whether they were good or bad, that is right up my alley. And today I have back a guest that I had on before, Scott Shara, Grace's dad. Many of you may know him as. And, you know, he has really done a lot of research and self-reflection and reflecting on what's going on in our world and sees what I see. This is a spiritual battle that none of us could ever have imagined, but we were warned about it in Scripture, in every page, and especially in the New Testament. So we're going to talk today about Hegel and the Hegelian dialect. I'm going to let Scott introduce you to that if you've never heard of that, or if you've never heard of Hegel. And so we're going to discuss that. But I do want to preface this by, just take a deep breath, because this show may disturb you, it may insult you. It's not meant to. It's meant to have you look at things in a different way. In order to have critical thinking, we really have to see things from all different angles. Remember, we're in a spiritual battle, and the enemy does have influence over people who don't really know him. Even those of us who know God, who study God, who love God, who spend hours in the Bible doing word searches so that we can grasp what God is really wanting us to know about him in each passage. Even those of us who do that on a daily basis we can be used by the enemy if we are not aware at all times. And that's hard to do because we're just humans. We are flesh and blood, and we depend on God's Spirit to tell us which direction to take or not to take. So with all that said, just try and listen to the whole thing and think of this, look at this through a biblical worldview, a lens, and let's not get carried away with what is going on and what we are shown in the media. So with that, I will bring Scott on.
Fantastic introduction, Catherine. Thanks.
There you are.
Yeah, well, I really compliment.
Thanks for coming back, first of all, Scott. Yeah. We have so much in common in the Lord that you just never cease to amaze me. So I'm excited to get into this.
Anything that is amazing for me is from God, and your introduction was amazing. I'll start with, we're going to end up drilling down this application of the Hegelian dialectic, but I want to get you first to how did I even come across it? Because, Grace's first day in heaven was October 13th of 2021. So, of course, my wife and I were in complete shock. After the shock, I'm still in shock. But what happened was, once we got the medical records and we started to piece things together, we realized something bad happened. It wasn't at that point, we thought it was an accident. As things progressed and we realized it wasn't an accident, in fact, it was medical murder. Well, then, the digging started. God made me a certain way, and I started digging into genocide. And 2 years ago in July, so literally 2 years ago, beginning of July, I started to research the Holocaust because I saw what was going on today as a parallel to the Holocaust in the 30s and 40s. And ultimately, that's when I stumbled across this term, Hegelian dialectic. I had no idea what it was. And, in simple terms, so people can get a grasp of what it is, it's the idea of problem, reaction, solution. So it's a normal way we would solve problems. We get, a problem happens, we have a reaction, we come up with a solution. But what I learned is Satan uses that method to control us. So just some simple examples that each of us would be very aware of is we just got done with this thing supposedly called COVID. I'm not drilling down right now why I say supposedly, but so COVID was the problem. The reaction was the fear, and the solution was the jab, which they labeled as a quote vaccine, but is in fact a...
Hey, thanks for watching the Faith and Culture Show. If you'd like to continue this particular episode, please go to the Rumble link below or click on the QR code and join me on the free speech platform over there. Look for the name of the episode and start about the 10-minute mark. I hope to see you there because it's a good one.